Vernomatic Productions.
Are you ready?
Live from the Metal Mayhem Studios in Rochester, New York.
We are gold.
And heard around the world by metalheads just like you. This is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Heavy metal music.
Your weekly dose of metal music, interviews, album reviews, news, and more. Want to be part of the show? Send us a message through our website, metalmayhemroc.com, or hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Search Metal Mayhem ROC, a proud member of the Pantheon podcast team.
It's getting nice and heavy.
Now, welcome our hosts, John the Vernomatic Verno, and direct from New Jersey, Metal Walt.
Good evening, everybody. As always, Thursday nights, new content drops. On tonight's show, we're joined by melodic rock vocalist Ronnie Romero, an artist who got his name on the heavy metal map, debuting as singer of Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, followed by an extensive stint with guitar god Michael Schenker. In 2023 alone, he released his second all-covers album, toured Europe with the Rock Meets Classic ensemble, plus the band he co-leads with Richie Faulkner, Elegant Weapons, released their debut album and toured the European Summer Festival circuit. Well, he is here today to discuss his brand new solo album, Too Many Lies, Too Many Masters. At the time of this interview, I was on vacation, so my co-host and metal brother, Metal Walt, flies solo on this discussion. Walt and Ronnie discuss the makings of this album, how the songs came about, who recorded these songs, where they recorded it, and Metal Walt takes a deep dive into these tracks, gives his interpretation of a lot of the songs, asks about how they came about. It's interesting stuff, gang. Ronnie also talks about the Elegant Weapons Band, the summer tour, playing new material to massive audiences who many have literally never heard a song of this band before. Plus, he answers a listener question about the future of Elegant Weapons. And of course, they couldn't leave the conversation without talking about his experience and impressions of both guitar gods, Richie Blackmore and Michael Schenker. But before we get into it, if you missed last week's show, we had Brittany Chapman, daughter of the late great Paul Chapman of UFO. Before that, we had Udo Dirkschneider, his new solo album, Touchdown. And before that, Adam Dubin, that heavy metal filmmaker. He's worked with Metallica for 30 years. Cool story about hooking up with the Beastie Boys back in the day. And his own project, Murder in the Front Row, the thrash documentary about the San Francisco thrash scene. These and all our extensive back catalog are in the archive section of our website, metalmayhemroc.com. Do us a favor, subscribe to the podcast, leave a review at Apple. We'll read it on a future episode, and join our community by signing up for the weekly newsletter. This is our chance to stay in touch with you about everything Metal Mayhem ROC related. Updates on our live radio show, CD reviews, blog reposts, YouTube videos. There's tons and tons of stuff going on. So again, sign up for our newsletter at metalmayhemroc.com. Now, Metal Walt and Ronnie Romero. I'm the Vernomatic. This is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Metal Mayhem ROC. On tonight's episode, we're joined by melodic rock vocalist Ronnie Romero, the hardest working man in the business. He's had one hell of a 2023 so far, but most importantly, he's here to talk about his solo album, Too Many Lies, Too Many Masters. I have to say, I mean, you've had a heck of a 2023 so far. I mean, I saw you with the Schenker tour last fall, a little under a year ago, and since then you put out the Raised on Heavy Radio, you did the Rock Meets Classic tour, then the Elegant Weapons album came out, then you toured with these guys. Now you have a new album coming out and another tour. So, man, it's been crazy. Talk a little bit about your year so far.
Yeah, it was great, you know. Since we did this tour with Michael Schenker in the US. And then I did the release of my solo covers album, which was really, really well received by the fans. That was very surprising for me. That's why we did two albums, because we did the first one, the Raised on Radio, and I didn't expect that much from that. And then suddenly everybody likes that. So we needed to make a second one. So it was great, it was fantastic. And then also because on this Raised on Heavy Radio, I had the chance to work with a lot of great friends in music. That for me was very special because the most of them were related to the original songs we were covering. Especially Roland Grapple from Masterplan. He was the guy who wrote the song and he was playing the guitar in the covers. So it was fantastic. And then Gus G was playing the solo in the Ozzy Osbourne song, which is also fantastic. So yeah, it was great. It was great. And then surprisingly, also we released the Elegant Weapons album. We went right away on tour. Like we released the album late May, and then June we went on tour, and we were gladly surprised that the people really like the band. For the most of the audiences, they were like all new songs never heard before. Yeah, and they were enjoying the show, so very happy with that.
So we're going to get into both of those a little bit more in depth later, but considering this show is an American audience, we want to make sure they know your upbringing, and it's pretty fascinating. It seems like you were born in Chile, and then you spent some time maybe raised in Madrid, and now you live in, is it Romania?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a global artist, true, but talk about like your musical upbringing. Like, how did you land in all these places, and where'd you get your start in music?
Well, I was raised and born in a family of musicians in Chile. Obviously, the circumstances were totally different because I was born in the 80s, where we were going and then going through this dictatorship situation, and then he ended up in the 90s when I was a teenager, getting interested on the rock bands. And at that time it was pretty hard to get music from out of the country. Yeah. But all my family, they're musicians. So I grew up with instruments. I used to have a drum kit on my room when I was 7.
Wow.
So for a 7-year-old kid, that's pretty fascinating. Not that much for the neighbors. But but yeah, so I'm related to the music since I was a kid.
Did your parents, were they in like a traditional Spanish type musical band?
No, they were. My grandfather, rest in peace. He used to have a big band.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so he was a saxophonist, and my father, he was the crooner.
He was the crooner. Amazing. Yeah. So
yeah.
He did some Sinatra and maybe some Tony Bennett material.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Does he still perform himself?
No, he died.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
13 years ago. But yeah, okay. he was a great singer. And he was probably the person who supports me the most with the music. When I was 15 and I was putting my first band together with some schoolmates, he was driving with his truck. He was doing the load out, waiting for us outside the venue, that kind of stuff. He was pretty supportive because he knew, I love the music. Yeah.
That's amazing. And then you ended up, of course, in the mainland Europe, in Spain, and now you're over in Romania. So, and we'll touch on your back history, but it's fascinating when you look at your CV of your career that really it is only about maybe 10 years old or a little bit more. It's you've been you've got a lot of material out there, Well,
if you count from the first Lords of Black release, which was probably the first professional thing I did, right? We're talking about 10 years. If you talk about Rainbow, which was the breakdown for me, I would say that was even less. It was 8 years ago.
I know. Well, it's impressive to say the least, but hey, most importantly, we want to get into your new solo album. So Too Many Lies, Too Many Masters. I've done a deep dive of it. I've listened to it a bunch of times. It's a really cool album. I want to ask you all about like the story, the musicians, the artwork, and then what I like to do is I like to go through the tracks themselves. I have my opinions of them, and then I want to hear most importantly from you. So maybe firstly, talk about the album title. Where'd you come up with that name?
Well, I will say that the name of the album, it would be the perfect resume of my career.
Okay.
In terms of, when I say Too Many Masters, is because the experience that I was living through the years working in the music, like you have a lot of people around telling you all the time what you should do, and there is a lot of experts in every aspect of your life around telling you everything that you should do, or you must do this, or you shouldn't do that. Especially for me, it's pretty funny how the people, they have an opinion about me, and then when I do what they want, they change their minds. And there is a very funny example of that, because through the years, as you may heard, a lot of people were saying, you're playing in too many bands. There's too much. There's too much. There's too many bands. You should do less and all this stuff. And then I remember this at the beginning of 2023. I just quit Michael Schenker to focus on my solo career, and the people was criticizing anyway. So that's the too many masters comes from.
Yeah.
And then Too Many Lies is mostly because of in the industry and in the business. You get disappointed very often with people. You get disappointed and frustrated with people telling you, offering you things, and then the most of the things are a lie. So I was thinking about what I've been going through the last few years since I joined Rainbow, and I got this concept like there's too many lies, there's too many masters around. And then suddenly, okay, this is a good name for the album. And then it totally fit with the times we're living nowadays as a society. It's the same concept. So
that was my original reaction.
You can apply that to everybody. So
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I said, well, it's probably a state of the world because that's just how we are in. So that's cool. And listen, unfortunately, that's the reality of life, like for all of us. Life is not a straight pathway. It's full of lots of curves. Yeah. Right? And that's just the way it goes. My first and oldest son, he just went off to college last week, and he has this great view of the world, and I said, okay, it's not going to be so easy. I want to see what your take is in 30 years from now.
Yeah. Exactly.
But going back to the album, so the musicians that play on the album, as far as I can understand, it used to have some good back history with some of these guys, correct?
All of them.
Yeah.
That was something very important for me to have, because since I really want to do to be in charge of everything on this record, to separate my solo album a little bit from standard Frontiers release. Not because this is bad, but because, since I was working with Lords of Black, which is in Frontiers, and then Corleone, the first albums are Frontiers, and the Sunstorm, the Ferryman, and, everything tends to sound, when you work with the same people all the time, it tends to sound a little bit similar. So I really want to separate my record from that. So the first thing I wanted to have was to have a more organic sound on the record, and that the only way to get it is to work with people you can trust, in terms of music, and to be all together and trust on their capabilities. So I really want to have friends as a band. I think it's like the old-fashioned way when you were growing up in the garage playing covers, and then you were putting a band together.
Yep.
So it's kind of the same philosophy.
And these guys, you guys go back how long? 10 years? More than that?
Yeah, even more. Yeah, with a guitar player, with Jose Rubio, we did an album together 11 years ago in Spain. Wow. It was released locally, but it was pretty successful. So it looks like we had good chemistry writing music together. So for me, it was, and also because he's a very versatile guitar player.
Sure.
So it's not just like a heavy metal rock, so they can play different things. So it was very important to me to have, this typical like a singer guitar player match on the band, which, like the old bands, when you have Ian Gillan, Richie Blackmore, and Robert Plant, and Jimmy Page, and so I really wanted to have the same tandem.
Did you guys actually did you do all the songwriting with the band and vice versa? Were you guys in the studio together? Was it virtual?
You know?
In the room. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, I think even you can listen that on the record because it sounds more organic.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to go that way. So to make a little difference in terms of sound.
That's and it is true. Like in so many of the artists that I interview, we hear so many things that during the pandemic and other times, now it's just become too easy to work in one room and the other. And we do interview a lot of artists from Frontiers. And I remember Robin McCauley saying to us that, hey, you know what? He's out in Southern California. The band's in Italy. They just marry up the tracks to the vocals and they don't ever have to see each other. But that's not how we were raised on that. But
I mean, that's pretty okay for me. I did that many times also. With the Fireman, for example, is actually like that. And with the Sunstorm is the same thing. I just get the tracks from Italy and then I go to the studio here in Bucharest. And which that's pretty awesome, but that's pretty cool because technology allows you to do that.
Yeah.
But then if you really want to bring something different, and especially for me because I really wanted to have this sounds from the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah. And
that was the only way to get.
That's all of. Did you record on analog by any chance?
Yeah, a lot of the things are recorded in analog.
Okay. Yeah, I was sensing that, and I said, okay, I'm going to ask you that question. But well done. As we're both old school guys, I mean, I'm a little bit older than you, but I'm the guy that still goes out and buys CDs and everything. The packaging is, and I want to mention that later, or we'll talk about that. But the cover art, amazing cover art. It's got this beast on there, and it's just like talk a little bit about the art. Who came up with that idea? Who ddid the drawing, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I really want to be in charge of literally everything. So I was thinking, since I wanted to make this, to have this direction with the album in terms of sound, like I talked to the guys when we were writing these songs, I want to sound like Look Up the Wolves from Dio, a little bit Black Sabbath from the Dio era also, the Humanizer maybe, kind of, going in that way.
Yeah.
I should have a cover, at the same level. So I remember that day I saw the Last in Line artwork, which is pretty much the same colors we're using.
It is. You're right.
Yeah, and then I say, okay, I need to have like the Too Many Lies, Too Many Monsters. Is talking about the society. I really want to have this visual of this world's going to an end, and the people is desperate and all this stuff, and there is a central figure all the time, which is this wolf in the center of the cover, which is a character from the Romanian mythology. Is a half wolf, half snake, or even dragon. They say sometimes. The earlier, very early Romanians in the territory, they used for war. It was a kind of a artifact. It was catching the wind and making a special noise that was, scaring the opponents.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's called Draco. It's called Draco, right?
Draco. Okay. Hello.
Yeah. So Dacian Wolf also is called. So it's Daco. Sorry, it's Daco. Dacian Wolf. So I really want to have this. Since I moved to Romania, my wife, she's Romanian. I moved here 4 years ago already. So I really want to have this little detail with the country, Yeah,
that's nice. Wife. Oh, hi. Nice to meet you. Hi. Nice to meet you. Thanks for popping on and saying hi.
So we developed this concept, and then I have this good friend of mine in Chile. He's a countryman, and he's a great artist because he did everything hand drawn.
Oh, wow.
And he digitalized everything after, but the first sketch is hand drawing. So it's also different from the Frontiers releases in that way.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. It's definitely cool. So now that we have the whole background on the album, that's pretty awesome. We got to get into the meat and potatoes, which is the songs themselves. So you got 10 songs on the album. I'm just going to dive right in, and I'm going to talk about some of the impressions I have on all of them, right? Okay. So I'm going to go to the middle of the album first, just not the same. So Girl, Don't Listen to the Radio. Now this one was it's different than the others. You hear all these frequency sounds, and it's like I almost said there's something like there's like this sexual tension, sensual vibe behind it. Yet you come in with this like growling vocal, and it's like I feel like it's like a video game monster ready to pull me in. So that one really stood out. And then the one right after that, Crossroad, which real good bluesy track. I really hear your like a great David Coverdale-esque kind of vocal in that one. So I don't know if you were going to get at that one, but I'm a sucker for a great blues, hard rock, metal song, and I think you did a good job on that one as well. So maybe talk about those two tracks.
Yeah, the Girl Don't Listen to the Radio was pretty interesting how the song, how we came and on that song. It was an idea from Andy, the drummer. He is a very, as I say, he's a very musical guy. He can play the piano and he can write great music. But he's pretty, he's not like too old-fashioned like we are. It's not too much into Deep Purple and Dio and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's a little bit more into the modern music. So I told to him, I really want to have like this kind of song, and he came with this riff. And he did the riff, and he played the guitars and everything. And he came with the riff, and it came to my mind, like a Motley Crue lyric, let's say.
Yeah.
Talking about my wife, because she was telling me at that time, I wrote a song for my son, and all the stuff. And she was like, she was telling me, I need to write a song for me, So okay, I'm gonna put this. She's a beautiful woman, so I will put this like a figure of, this femme fatale, this lady that listen to you. She's always not paying attention to you. She's always in other thing. So she's in the car, listening to the radio, turn up the volume and all the stuff, and what you're trying to show your feelings, and she doesn't care. So I just came up with a lyric, and it turns out something very interesting. So that was it.
That's good. And she was probably expecting a very romantic love song, but you gave her something completely. That's actually cool. Well, I was right on that one. So yeah, it's a cool track. And what about Crossroad?
Crossroad, there was probably one of the last songs we wrote, because we had other ideas, and then I thought it would be nice to have not a ballad, but something more quiet. And then Jose, he told me, I have this, but I think it doesn't fit on the record because it's a blues. And I was like, okay, let's try, let's give it a try. So I started to write a lyric, and I was not sure about it. And then I went to the studio, and after the solo, the ending of the song is totally improvised. I was like, okay, I'm going to sing the chorus, but let's see how it goes. And then when I recorded and we were listening to it, it was like, this sounds like Crying in the Rain a little bit, So we loved it, and we were okay. So that's it, It's okay. It works,
Totally.
And that's why I told you before. It's very organic, because it's just one take, and let's see what happened, and it works, So that's awesome. Works for us, at least.
Yeah, totally. I love that track.
I didn't in through all the record, I didn't make like 100 takes with overproducing backing vocals and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty natural.
How long did it take from end to end, from the songwriting to, let's say, the cutting, the final production and all that?
I will say a couple of weeks.
Wow, that quick.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really organic.
It was pretty smooth, and we were pretty clear what we want, So besides Crossroad, which was the last song we wrote, we were pretty clear. I told the guys, I really want to go this way. So the day after, they came with a lot of ideas, and I was writing the songs. And actually, the funny thing is, I got the songs. They say, okay, this is going to be nice. We work on the structures. They record it. And then with the final recordings, I was, listening 3 songs per day. I was writing the lyrics, going the day after to the studio right away, then coming back by night until 5 a.m. I was writing 3 new songs, going to the studio the day after. So I didn't prepare the production vocal wise too much, because I really wanted to be spontaneous on the recording.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think it works.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So you got a couple tracks. You put a few videos out there, performance videos. So Castaway on the Moon and then Chased by the Shadows. Again, I love both of those songs. My impression of Castaway on the Moon, it's like that first track, so it sets the tone. I love it because it's got fast drums and guitar and like totally killer melodic chorus, really memorable. And I could just imagine when you get on the road, that's got to be your show opener. And Chased by the Shadows, again, that one, I hear that little bit of Dio-esque sound to it. Kind of a mid-pace song, so really cool. And it's just nice to see a performance video. It's not just you, but it's your band out there just playing it out. So what's your opinion on those two songs?
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, we really wanted to have Highway Star song at the beginning,
Yeah.
Because actually when we were talking about the record before to write the songs and all the stuff, I talked to the guys, we need to be together because I really want to be organic and be together and go to the studio together and all the stuff. And we were talking about the Machine Head from the Purple.
Mm-hmm.
When there is a version of Highway Star at the beginning where you can listen Richie Blackmore tuning, and they're doing like a line check, and then they are recording the song all together at the same time, which is it's fantastic for me.
Yeah.
So I told the guys I really want to have something like that, and we were talking about the this Highway Star at the beginning. So this song came out and is about a Korean movie I was watching at that time. It's a very interesting concept because it's about how society works nowadays, where we had a lot of people, but nobody cares of each other. Mm-hmm. So we're totally separate. So this movie is about a guy who's trying to suicide, and so he jumps from a bridge, and with bad luck, he land in a small island in the river.
Oh.
In the middle of the city. So he get cast away in the island. So he construct his own world on that island, separate from the society, but with all the city around, which is very interesting. It's like a hero.
That's an interesting concept. Yep.
Yeah. So I came with the title of the song, and it was it was pretty clear that that's gonna be the first single. Yeah. And then the Shadows, Shade by Shadows, was the same thing. It was like a Black Sabbath Dio-ish kind of song, and since the people recognize me, since the Rainbow thing and connected with Dio and all this stuff, we needed to have a song like that.
Yeah, I even think songs like Vengeance and not just a Nightmare too, they have that throwback feel to them. I like them. And on Vengeance, I just love the one word chorus, man. That takes me back to the Hate.
Yeah.
Just the one word chorus is so powerful in metal.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit, all those epic spit metal bands from Italy, especially Rhapsody. The beginning of Rhapsody, Look at the Release, and all this stuff that I was listening since I was a kid. So I really wanted to have that kind of a little bit Priest also, kind of a riff and something like that people can sing, also, which is very important in heavy metal sometimes.
Yeah. It's the best part when you could put on your headset and go for a walk or something. And I was doing that yesterday. I was walking around. It's been very hot in the New York, New Jersey area this week, but I go out for my lunch walk and I'm like, people are looking at me and I'm doing this as I'm walking through the streets. They're probably, what is this guy doing? So I was listening to this one and then the Elegant Weapons album because, I'm like, I got to talk to Ronnie on Friday. Got to brush up on this stuff, but it's all good stuff. So talk about, I like to say some of the lighter songs, even though they're not light. So I've Been Losing You and then A Distant Shore. What are those about? I love them both. They're different. You got piano in there, these weird keys, but those definitely are a slight different change from the fast-paced stuff. So I'd like to hear from you, about those songs.
Yeah, actually, I've Been Losing You is a song that I wrote. That was the only song it was previously there before to work in the album, because it's a song I wrote for Michael Schenker more than a year ago. when we were recording the last album with Michael, they sent me a couple of tracks, to write something, and I came out with that song, I've Been Losing You, but it didn't make it to the final track list. So I kept the song because I thought it was a good song.
Yeah.
Because I wrote it, so obviously it was a good song.
Yeah.
So I kept that, and then I said, okay, I'm going to put it here because it makes sense for me. It's a good song, and it's a little bit more modern hard rock music, like a little bit Pretty Mates, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The music is from Andy. It's typical from that kind of a song. Is typical from Andy. We did that many times with Lords of Black and the first two records.
Yeah.
So even it sounds a little bit like Lords of Black.
Okay.
And then A Distant Shore is probably the most special song for me because it's a song that I wrote to my son Oliver. He lives in Spain. He's 10 years old, but we didn't have the chance to meet since 2 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's why it's called A Distant Shore. But I really wanted to have something that he will love to listen because he's fan of that kind of bands like Imagine Dragons, a little bit Coldplay,
Sure.
in the melodies. So I really wanted to write something that he will love to listen, and it's a little bit different from the rest of the album. But I think at the end it fit on the concept of my experiences because I wrote it for my son. So
how did he respond to it? I'm sure he loves it.
He didn't have the chance to listen at yet, but I think you're gonna like it.
Okay. So he hasn't heard it yet. That's awesome.
No,
So,
no.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that's when he goes to school and he can say, hey, look at my dad. He wrote this song about our relationship. Well, Ronnie, that's a really, really nice thing to do, man. That's really special. That comes from the heart. So could appreciate that being a father of 4 children myself. So, well, listen, we can go on all day about this album. I mean, it's 10 tracks, great material. Let's talk about the touring aspect of the band. So I see that you got some dates coming up next year. So what's going to go on with the road?
Yeah, well, the plan is to go on tour as much as we can. We're starting January in Germany and a date in Belgium. We're adding on the same leg. We're adding some dates in Switzerland. Then we're planning to go to Scandinavia also. We're almost setting a tour in Central and South America, which also would make sense to go to the US at the same time.
That would be great. That was going to be one of my questions. You're going to bring it to the States.
It makes sense because of the long trip, so we can do it all together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will make sense. And then obviously Japan and the rest of Europe, summer festivals. So we're going to be busy mostly until the end of the summer with this release.
Yeah, and will the touring band be the guys that were played on the album?
Old fashioned.
100%. Okay, that's awesome too. That's awesome too. Well, really looking forward to hearing about that one. If it makes its way to the States, we'll be there to support you guys, of course. So best of luck on the album. The album comes out on the 15th of September, I believe. Good luck with that.
Well, that's an old-fashioned story. Working with the guys in the studio and getting on the road all together. Ronnie Romero, hardest working guy in rock in the last 18 to 24 months. His new solo album, Too Many Lies, Too Many Masters. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Metal Walt's going to get the lowdown on Elegant Weapons and what else is going on in the Ronnie Romero camp. We'll be right back.
Metal Mayhem ROC.
I'm Metalhead.
Metal Mayhem ROC is the home for metal from the very beginnings.
This is James DeBrett from Hellstar. You're listening to Burnomatic.
Dave Overkill from the Cleveland band Destructor. Hey, Dave, how are you?
I'm doing great. To longtime headliners.
Hey, this is Red Beach from Whitesnake.
Hey, this is Vinny Appice from Dio, Black Sabbath, and Last in Line.
To music of today.
Hi, this is Olaf Wickstrand from Enforcer.
Hi, this is Braun from Mastodon.
You're listening to Metal Mayhem ROC.
With John the Vernomatic Burner.
Plus, we talk with producers and authors to give you behind-the-scenes info.
Hi, this is William Merwin, author of The Meaning of Metallica, Ride the Lyrics.
Greg Renoff, the author of the book Van Halen Rising. in the Ted Templeman book, A Platinum Producer's Life in Music.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Metal Mayhem ROC, a proud member of the Pantheon podcast team, giving you more to listen for. Join our community, and always remember to keep it heavy.
And now we want to continue going back into your year, the beginning of the 2023. Well, not to say the beginning. Let's do a backwards trip in time, the way Rush did on their farewell tour. If you remember, they started in the present and they went backwards, right? So we'll go into Elegant Weapons. So listen, this album is just completely killer. I can't say enough about it. You know, and I even, there's things about the album, and I was going to ask you, like songs like Blind Leading the Blind and Ghost of You, I mean, they would fit perfectly in your current album. You know, you got the heavy stuff. So talk a little bit about how that band formed and, you know, how the tour went this summer. You guys did Grass Pop, you did Hellfest. I mean, it must have been an amazing summer for you with that album.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great experience, actually. And we were gladly surprised because, you know, we released the album late May, at the end of May, and then 1 week after we were going on tour. So it was a little bit risky, you know, because there was not enough time for the people to listen to the record. But you know, we had this opportunity to go with Pantera for some shows, and then to make all those great summer festivals like Hellfest, Grass Pop, and a couple of in Spain and Portugal. We did a couple of club shows also, and it was great. It was fantastic. We came back very happy because we saw that the people really like the band and they really liked the songs, even when they didn't know about the songs in the first time. You know, we were playing for the Pantera audience, which is tough. You know, it was really hard to convince with more soft music. But it was great, you know, the reaction from the people was fantastic every night. So we came back with the idea of like, you know, this is something like the people really enjoyed it and they really like. You know, we saw every night, even when, as I told before, they didn't know about the songs. They were like, you know, enjoying, and it was great. You know, it was great, and I like that because, you know, when Richie calls me the first time, I think it was during the pandemic still. And he talked me about this, you know, I have the songs and it's got Travis and Rex Brown recording and all the stuff. And I'm looking for a singer. And as usual with everything, I commit. It's like, okay, let me listen to songs. And if I like it, we can work. If I don't like it, obviously I'm going to say no. So he sent me the song and if, I felt like the songs were great, but the thing that attracts me the more, it was they were out of my comfort zone. So it's not the typical heavy metal hard rock thing. There's a lot of different elements on it in every song, as you say, Ghost of You, and I never sang a song like Ghost of You, for example, before. And then you have Down for Rising, which is
that's a heavy song, man.
Pilots, elements, and you know there's a little bit of Audioslave also in some of the songs. There is a lot of Judas Priest, of course, in a couple of songs. So it was like, okay, this is something that's going to be very entertaining to make, and it's going to be bringing me to know where are my limits in that kind of music. So that was the thing.
Was I'm just curious, you must have known Richie from the industry, but did you do the songwriting on the album, or was it a combination of you and Richie?
No,
okay.
The songs were ready when he asked me to join.
Okay. And how did I mean, aside from playing at the festivals and with Pantera and that kind of thing, I see you guys sprinkled in some cover songs a little bit here and there, probably to just change up the pace. So I saw Painkiller in there, and of course Lights Out, which is on the album, but that's cool too, right?
It was great. We were we were struggling a bit because, not the festivals, but when we did a couple of headlining club shows, And obviously the people expect you to play for at least 70, 80, 90 minutes.
Yeah. So
we did the calculations, and it was like, okay, we're playing the whole album is 60 minutes.
Right.
So what we should do? Well, we should play a couple of covers. So we were trying every night a different thing. So one day we played Painkiller, and then we played something else, and we were jamming a little bit also. And then suddenly one day, I think it was in one of the festivals, we say right before the show, we say, which song we're going to play today, because we need 5 more minutes.
Uh-huh.
And Richie said, do you know War Pigs from Black Sabbath?
Yeah.
So, yeah, everybody knew the song.
Yeah, of course,
so
right.
Good. And it turns into like the perfect ending of the show. The people were singing, and so we thought, okay, we're gonna keep that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so it was great.
What show was that at? I would love to look it up on YouTube and see how you kind of did an unrehearsed version.
I think I don't remember I think it was Grass Pop, or it was one of the Spanish festivals, Resurrection or Rock Imperium, something like that.
Okay.
It was like in the middle of the tour.
Okay. Great. So I actually have a listener question. So Scott Saunders, who lives in Maryland in the U.S., wants to know, now that you're launching your solo career, will you remain the singer of Elegant Weapons, and will you commit to future projects with them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for me, it's it's because it's the same philosophy that I was playing with Rainbow, I was playing with Michael Schenker, Adrian Vandenberg, and all that stuff. It was pretty cool, and I'm really grateful to have the chance to play with those great musicians.
Yeah. And
it brings me a lot to my career. And Rainbow, they put me on the spotlight, so I will be grateful forever. But I think it's time to move on, and to move on, obviously I need to be focused on my solo stuff. But also I think Elegant Weapons, we have a lot to say still. So it's just the beginning, and we're already working on a new album, and we have plans to tour next year. So I think this is going to be probably my main project, together with Lords of Black. It's going to be the 3 things I'm going to be doing for the most of the year from now on.
That's great to hear, because again, that album is great. I mean, I love how Richie said, this is his vision of a band that when eventually Judas Priest retires, which who knows when they'll ever be, but we don't want them to retire, but inevitably they will. But it's nice to hear that he's already thinking ahead to having a band, not just an album, a band, So, and listen, that's got to come to the States, man. You guys got to get that here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just telling you that, man. So
yeah, I mean, the band is based in Nashville, so you must go there.
All right. So now the next thing in your 2023 was the Rock Meets Classic tour. So, Ronnie, I'm going to tell you, man, it's like we're at a disadvantage in the States, because I'd be all over this. We would never, ever get anything of this nature in the U.S. And look at this. Just talk about this experience.
That was great. It was fantastic. I mean, there was one of the things that you're going to keep forever with you. It's like you were touring for 2 weeks together with all those legends, especially the guys from Riot Hip. They were awesome. They were fantastic. The Mick and Bernie, they were, beyond any expectation. They were so nice, and we were having great times together. But then with Mike Tramp also, it was my traveling partner, and we were sharing most of the nights. We were sharing the dressing room.
Okay.
So it's such a cool guy. Joy, I met Joy many times before. We have a friendship since many years. It was the first time that I met Dee Snider.
Okay.
He's a very interesting character.
Okay, he's pretty loud and energetic. He's a New Yorker, man. I understand.
Yeah. It's very intense. It's very intense. But it was great, and it was a great experience. And playing all those songs, I was playing Rainbow, but to be there watching all those guys playing their songs, Maggie Rayleigh also, which she's a lovely lady, and it was great. It was fantastic. Something I will never forget.
And correct me if I'm right. So it's you guys playing 4 or 5 songs each of your catalog. So the Europe catalog, the Twisted Sister, Uriah Heep, Rainbow, White Lion, with an orchestra and a band behind you.
It's a rock band with an orchestra. Yeah.
Wow, it's pretty awesome, man. Again, I wish something like that would come to the States. So I wanted to ask you a question. We talked about something before. Our love for the physical product and the CDs. And I know periodically on your social media, you'll show, I think you and Mike went CD shopping. And then I know you had one where you found your own, one of the Rainbow solo albums. So that's a missing art. And again, I think in Europe, you have a lot of shops still, whereas the US, it's almost like they're gone. There's not many of them.
Oh, really?
So not many of them at all anymore. We had a couple really good ones in New Jersey. There's one not too close, or not too far from me, but the one main one called Vintage Vinyl. That one, they just went out of business. What can you do?
There's still some around Europe. Yeah, there's still, you can find some places. It's not like a normal thing, but if you ask to locals, there is always something. And it's great. It's for me. There was pretty exciting when I was teenager, especially in Chile, because it was not easy to get music from outside. So I remember that you needed to go to the record store and to ask the owner, I really want to have this record, and he was trying to get it imported.
Yeah,
and it took like a month, sometimes 2 months, and you were impatiently waiting for the record. It was already released. Everybody was talking about it, but you don't have it. You don't have access to that. Besides to listen a couple of songs in the radio.
Yeah.
So for me, that journey from going, not going from the record store, even before, saving the money to buy that record.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you were getting your money to go to school or to university, and that day you decide, I'm not going to eat today because I want to keep the money for the record.
Yeah.
And then going to the record store, buying it, having the physical stuff, going back home in the bus, waiting to open it, get into your room, open it, and then surprise, you never knew what's going to be inside. Pictures, lyrics, you were reading the credits, you were reading everything about the record, and then you were listening something new that you don't know what's going to happen. And that's very sad nowadays, because you have a release and you're listening half of the record before it's released. You know how it's going to be, the artwork, the pictures, everything before. So when the album comes out, it's like no surprise.
I know.
The young people didn't have that journey anymore.
No, my 15-year-old son Lucas, he was in the car last week, and I took out Metallica's 72 Seasons, and he laughs at me because he says, "Why do you still buy these discs or whatever they are?" And then I opened it up and I showed how it's 4 sides with the guys' faces and the booklet and the colors, and I just said to him, "You don't understand this, and it's not your fault because you weren't raised this way." But they don't get it. But anyway, that's a perfect segue into the next topic, right? The Raised on Heavy Radio album. And I don't know, Ronnie, I think maybe when you were on tour with Schenker, maybe I was at work one day, you must have broken into my house and stolen my CD collection, buddy, because I think there's a lot of stuff missing that's on this album, I gotta say. But maybe my first question, is that your wife? Is she the cover model on the album?
In both covers albums is my wife. Yeah.
Okay. So they're really, really cool. Of course, she's a beautiful woman and very nice. So nice to know that she's included on this as well. But man, oh man, it's like I could geek out all day with you on these albums. I mean, just from on the first album, No Smoke Without a Fire from Bad Company. I mean, Brian Howe, God rest his soul. I mean, there's always that debate. Oh, no, Bad Company's not Paul Rodgers. It's not Brian Howe. It's Paul Rodgers. And I say bullshit to that. But I'm a big Tony Martin era Black Sabbath guy. That was my first introduction really to seeing these guys live. And we had Tony Martin on our show about 2 years ago for his new album. But just love that whole idea of not just going for the obvious tracks, but going for some of the deep ones or your favorites in your collection. So just talk in general about this.
Yeah, that's for me was pretty there was something it must be when the Frontiers offers me to make the covers album. I didn't want to do just an album with covers just because, or it's not even because of the money or whatever that people may think about it.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's not about the money. That's
right.
Not for sure.
Well, not picking in these tracks. You could tell us for the love of the songs.
Not even the royalties go for the original songwriters. So it's not even because of the money,
Yeah.
So it was okay, let's make this covers albums, and but I don't want to. I really want to pay tribute to the music I'm covering. Like a real tribute. Not just because I want to have more views on YouTube or more likes on the social.
Mm-hmm. I
really want to pay tribute to those artists. So since we had that clear, I say, okay, I'm not going to sing what the people is expecting me to sing. I really want to go as a fan on the B-sides, and that's why if you check on the track list, the most of, even with the bands, they have many or different singers. I go to the less recognized singer.
Right.
Because I really wanted to pay tribute to that person and to that musician. So as for me, for example, Black Sabbath, it was pretty obvious. It's, for me, Headless Cross is such an underrated record.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I really want to go with Tony Martin in that side. And then the same with Brian Howe from Bad Company. So that was the thing, I really want to do something different, not just a covers album, something like the people will enjoy to listen as I do as a fan.
I was going to tell you should hopefully you have Tony Iommi's number, because he keeps talking about getting another solo album together.
He got the video clip. We did a video clip for The Shining, and he reposted on Twitter saying congratulating us, a great cover.
Wow, that's great. I hope you planted the seed, Ronnie. I think could. You know where I'm going with this, man. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, that wouldn't be that crazy for me, considering my previous experiences.
True. Well, I was thinking of something fun to suggest. So if you were to do another covers album, and let's call it the Raised on Radio, the Metal Walt EP edition. So I'm going to give you the 5 songs I want you to do for the Metal Walt version. Ready for it?
Yeah.
So Black Sabbath, Heart Like a Wheel.
Yeah, great.
Badlands, High Wire.
Oh, well, yeah, that would be nice, yeah.
Mr. Biggs, Alive and Kickin'.
Good.
Blue Murder, Jelly Roll.
Oh, fantastic.
And Sabotage's Jesus Saves.
And I will have Chris Caffery again.
How about that, man? How about that for your next
fantastic,
album?
Yeah. I didn't want to go that deep, but I could.
That's good. But those albums are really, really great. And like I said, I really appreciate them. So, hey, a couple of few things. We got to talk on the Michael Schenker tour. So Metal Mayhem ROC actually covered the Stroudsburg, PA show, which was last October. You guys did a lot of touring. Who knows if you remember that or not. But I will tell you, Ronnie, I mean, the photos that you're looking at now, these were taken by me in the pit. You were all the chatter. I got to say, you were all the chatter. We did a show right up, and it was all about, you and what you brought to the table. But in general, just talk about the experience, of touring the States for 2 months solid.
Yeah, it was great. It was fantastic. It was the first time that I was touring the U.S. that long. Yeah. I did a couple of shows before. I play in the Pro Power in Atlanta also with Lords of Black some years ago. But it was the first time on the road, the real road in the States, which is such a big country. Jeez.
It is a big country. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it was crazy, but we enjoyed a lot. We enjoyed a lot playing everywhere, and the people in every city was fantastic. And they loved Michael, and we were having fun every night. It was such a great experience.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I have a funny story about this show, because when I was driving, it's about an hour drive from my house. and I was coming around the corner from the theater, and I had to come to a quick stop from the car in front of me. And I'm not sure if it was you, but there were some of the band members were running out of the back of the theater, running across the railroad tracks over to Kentucky Fried Chicken. And the car in front of me had to put his brakes on as to not hit these guys.
I would say that probably was me. I think that was the only one hitting trash food. But yeah, I would say that probably was me. I love Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it was you. I mean, that'll
maybe
be the
me. Yeah, sorry
that
for
will
that.
be the trailer for the episode here. Ronnie Romero almost gets run over and killed going for Kentucky Fried Chicken wings.
For a couple of wings, yes.
But again, you said it earlier, you're no longer with Michael, and I think Robin McCauley is back with him. So, but it sounds like you had a good partnership, and it was just time for you to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I felt like, it's for me, during 3 years playing the same songs, which I totally respect because it's Michael Schenker's career and he's awesome. I really respect the way he's managing nowadays with his talent. He's still playing. I mean, we play, I don't know, for 3 years we're playing around maybe 100 shows. Yeah. I never saw him missing any single note, which is pretty not typical for a gear player. And he was on fire every night, which is, I think, is amazing.
What kind of, as a person, how is he? Because, he has this mystique that he's kind of a mysterious, aloof person. Like, what was he like as a human being on the road?
It was great. He's traveling separate from the band, but we had our moments on airports or on backstage rehearsals and all that stuff. And he's a cool guy. It's very smart. It's very intelligent person. And you can talk to him about many things, and he has an opinion of everything. So you can have a very interesting chat with him. And he was great. He was treating me very well. Even my wife, because she was joining us on part of the tour, and they were very nice with us all the time. He's a cool guy.
It was funny. I know that he was traveling alone because I remember I went back
to drive by himself.
Yes. I was backstage looking for you guys, and nobody ever came out. And then all of a sudden, Michael drives down with this black Cadillac, and he just rolled down the window and waved. So I said, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, it was renting. Or Cadillac or Mercedes, depends of the area. But he was driving by himself every day because he loves that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Well, I'm glad it was a great experience for you on that. And of course, last but not least, we can't go away without touching on the Rainbow piece. So listen, Ronnie, I'm a huge Rainbow fan, and it's all I can say is being in the States, it's a shame that the band didn't get a chance to come over here and play. I know you did a handful of shows for 3 or 4 summers in a row. We didn't get to see it in the States, which stinks. But anyway, just briefly, maybe for our audience, like how actually did you get the call to get into the band?
I was playing in a rainbow cover band at that time. 2014, 15. I was doing a rainbow cover band in Spain. And it was pretty successful, actually. We were playing festivals and all this stuff.
Cool.
Because I did sound at that time like Dio and the guitar player was pretty similar like Richie, so the sound of the band was pretty close to the original. And then there were some videos on YouTube, and suddenly they were looking for a singer, and they saw those videos. This is a video of me singing Man of the Silver Mountain in a festival in Spain. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the one they saw, and they contacted me right away. And they say, we're looking for a singer. We have a couple of shows next year, and you're awesome, and blah blah whatever. And and that was it. And it was pretty fast.
How was that whole experience, though? It must have been great playing the Sweden rock and everything. I'm sure.
Great. I was not only playing with Richie, but I had the chance to know him and to just spend time with him. As a big fan of Deep Purple. For me, it was probably the most valuable experience ever. To get to meet him and talk to him, share some dinners and beers and talk about everything. Is a very clever person also. Yeah. So So we matched really well also, like it was pretty nice to me all the time. So we spent great times together, and that was for me the main thing. Then we were doing good music together also on the stage, and I think also you can see that on the videos, and on the shows, that we were having good times together.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's a shame it didn't make its way around the world, but hey, it is what it is. We have the DVDs, we have the live CDs to listen to, and that kind of thing. He's actually the band Blackmore's Night with Candace. They always swing around my area of the country around Halloween, so he's not too far from me the first week in November.
Yeah, they live in Long Island.
Yeah, so I'll probably, hopefully check it out. At least, it's different kind of music, but Richie gets a chance to bring out his Fender and just go crazy and do a little bit of that kind of thing as well. So that sounds good too. So, Ronnie, there's got to be something. I'm going to ask you a question on the spot. Give us some piece of dirt on Richie. Is there anything you haven't told another journalist about him? Like, does he snuggle with Candace's teddy bear or something at night or something weird?
No, but he always have a soccer ball on the trunk of the car.
Ah.
Every time we have the chance, he open the trunk, take the soccer ball, and we play, even in a parking slot. Is so I wouldn't say obsessed, but he loves to play soccer. So yeah, sometimes even after rehearsals, we're going to the cars, and he was opening the trunk, and it's playing in the parking slot a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, and that's it. And then go. That's very funny.
Does he have a certain team he follows? Is he like a fan of one of the big teams? Yeah, he's a big fan of
the German teams. Yeah.
Ah, the German teams. And what about yourself?
Well, I'm a Real Madrid fan.
Okay. That's cool. So you could always have some friendly debates over the football teams with Richie back in the day.
Yeah, the funny thing is, the first time we played soccer together, we were in Birmingham and before the first tour, and so we put two teams for the game.
Yeah.
And he was in one team and it was in the other team. The thing he didn't know is I played soccer professionally when I was a teenager.
Ah.
So we win. My team wins. So the day after, when we played again, he told me, "You are on my team today."
That's funny. That's really, really funny. Well, Ronnie, this has been a great hour for me. I've really enjoyed this discussion. Just before we leave, where can our fans, what's your socials for these, for the bands?
My social, Ronnie Romero Official, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find everything. Also a YouTube channel. Everything is Ronnie Romero Official. You can find everything, and also on Frontier. So yeah, that's the only official channels.
Well, best of luck with the new album, and again, I'm sure we'll be speaking down the line. And good luck with the tour and the rest of 2023. If I could just ask you to stay on for 1 minute off air,
sure.
We'll take it from there. Okay. So yeah, hey Ronnie, this has been great. Really, really fun. Tell your wife goodbye. It was nice to meet her, and have a good weekend. All right.
Same. Thank you very much.
All right. Cheers, Ronnie. See you, man.
Bye.
Metal for Life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.